Hello there. It's your girl Valerie Mason Chase again. Welcome to another episode of Marriage Beyond the Breach.
Mm-hmm.
And I am here with my hubby, Frank Chase, also known as the Cookieman. I see Finesse. I'm looking at the name Finesse on YouTube. So welcome. Thank you for watching. And those of you who are watching now or later, thank you so much for tuning in. Leave my screen alone.
No, looks
You know what's messing with my screen? Leave my screen alone. Anywho, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you here. I know I get on his nerves.
I can't even put the screen the way I want it. Got to be. But wait, see now look up, but that's all right. Go ahead, look.
Have mercy, Jesus. Anywho, thank you guys for watching. And as I said, I have my Cookie Man here with me tonight, and so I just want to commend the Cookie Man for showing up because he has not been feeling well. In fact, understatement. In fact, a week ago Thursday, he was hospitalized. And actually, we still don't have a diagnosis to explain the symptoms that he's having. So those of you who can and are willing, I solicit your prayers from my Cookie Man. He's going to be going for a CAT scan of the chest with contrast on Tuesday as a diagnostic measure to try to isolate and figure out what's going on. So hey, E. Nicole.
Listen.
Hey, Kimba.
I told Val, I said, all these issues.
Oh, Lord.
Gallbladder removal, issues, breathing, fatigue,
with your heart,
all kind of mess going on. Coincided with when I retired. You know, everything when it hit me after I retired. Can I go back to work? You think they'll take me?
No. They'll take you, but I ain't letting you go.
Oh, goodness gracious.
No going back to work. Hey, Jade. Thank you for watching. So what are we talking about tonight, baby cakes?
I don't know. I'm sweating already. I'm racing already.
You want me to want the fan?
Yeah.
Okay, and put the fan on you.
Let's see. Second chance at love? Is that
Second chance at love. You got it.
How many chances we had?
Oh, we done had a whole lot. Listen, we're talking about second chance at love, but truth be told, the Cookie Man and I think it's been at least 3 altogether. And that's speaking up in terms of the number of separations that we've had. Because we've been separate. We had 3 separations. Wow. You don't remember?
Nah, I try not to remember that stuff.
Yeah, you may be trying not to remember. Listen, but I don't forget. All right. But anywho, also in all seriousness, I want to thank you, babe, for being a trooper and hanging in there and being here tonight. And yeah, he's cool. He's here and he's all of that. But a lot of it is because I harassed the hell out of him earlier when I first got home.
The weight of not showing up was unbearable. So, I'll make reference to
what, baby?
The Cosby Show. When Cosby was nice to talk about, you just, okay, whatever. You kind of throw your hands up.
Throw your hands up.
I'm here.
Okay. And I appreciate it. And I love you for it.
Okay.
So we're talking about second chance at love, and we are going to be talking about our story. We're going to share some more of our story because we've had a second chance, we've had a third chance, we've had a fourth chance, and it's taken some time, but I have gotten to the place where my number one motto is no marriage is beyond redemption. It took me a while to get to that place, but I do believe that no relationship is beyond redemption, especially only when 2 people are committed. They're committed to the process. They're committed to each other. They're committed to the marriage, and they're committed to doing whatever it takes to make the relationship successful. And from my perspective, since I am a Christian, when we have God in the midst, we cannot go wrong. So that is what I base that statement on, that I believe no marriage is beyond redemption. So, Cookie Man, we're going to be talking about our story, our journey.
Okay.
And with clients, when I'm counseling them for the very first time, a couple, I always start with their love story. So, what's our love story? From your perspective.
From my perspective?
Yeah.
Well, as I thought about this coming before we came on, I think I was put on my journey, my path, my love story, even before I knew it. I was already it was already put in motion.
Yeah.
That I was going to find you.
Really? How so? How do you think that?
I can't answer that. I just ended up in the right place at the right time.
Well, that you did.
And that must have been the truth, because here we are 42 years
43.
later. 43?
Yeah, 43. We met in 80.
Okay,
we met 80, March of 1980.
Yeah, so, and it's funny, when you take a look back on how things kind of manifest themselves, how they turn out, it's easy to look back and say, you know what? Out of all the roads you travel, this was the road you were meant to. Because you could travel many roads,
right?
And your destination could be way up here, and a lot of roads, but there's only one road that eventually is going to get you there, and you're going to find it eventually.
Right.
Getting lost, not listening to the GPS, all that stuff. Eventually, not listening to your wife. Eventually, you get put on the right road.
Yeah.
What was your question?
Oh my God.
Yo, kind of lost focus.
I'm gonna be like Bernie Mac. America, this is what I have to deal with. Remember Bernie Mac used to do that all the time?
I don't remember that stuff.
You don't remember that?
No.
On Bernie Mac show?
Met a lot of Bernie Mac. I don't remember that one.
On his show. He used to look right at the camera.
With the kid, when he had the kid. Okay, kids, I remember that, yeah.
But anywho, we were talking about our love story, how we met.
Okay,
how did we end up together?
I mean, I've shared this, when you're with someone for as long as I have, they start to tell you a story. And then they wonder why you look at them kind of funny. And their answer is because you're probably hearing this story for the 10th time. But you listen anyway. So when Val
some people may be hearing it for the first time.
So when Val said, "What's our story?" I'm saying, first thing I think about it, I've said this before, but it's always nice to kind of repeat it and say it again. Right. Like I said, for those who are not, who haven't heard it before,
and I like to hear it.
Just like to hear it. But what seemed actually was really simple. Decided to go out one night. My friends Full Force, I got to give them a shout out, Bow-Legged Lou, because he'll always tell me if it wasn't for his show, he take credit for a lot of stuff. But so I happened to be out at this place in Harlem called Broadway International.
Yeah,
call myself doing security for them, but I'm all over the club, having a good time, drinking the warm champagne in the background, just enjoying myself. And as I was surveying the crowd, just making sure everyone was safe and secure, because that was me. I was security, corrections. I had to be out there protecting everybody.
Oh my Lord!
So as I'm standing on the balcony looking down, I just happened, and seriously, I might be laughing, but this really felt and happened to me. I just happened to look down at this area, and it just seemed like that one particular area just had a certain glow to it. It seemed brighter than the rest, oval shape, just like the table.
Okay.
But in the middle of that oval shape happened to be you.
Okay.
Nice young lady sitting there, just just trying to be cool. Got her legs crossed, got her hand like she didn't want to be bothered. But I had to make my way down, because it was something that told me, you need to go talk to her. You need to say something, because out of everyone in the place, I really focused on you. Seriously, I'm serious now. I could really see you. Why? I didn't know then, but there was something. So
God knew.
He knew. So I went down there, asked her to dance with me. And back then, Lord have mercy, first of all, I was out there drinking, so I'm wild. I'm trying to be
wild cool. As all
but she said yes.
Yes, I did.
She said yes. So, we danced for a while, and I felt the connection right then. But throughout the night, I lost track of you. Again, I'm supposed to be working. Place is crowded. But I'm walking around just. I don't know if I was really looking. I don't want to say now I was walking around looking, but as I was walking around, I was drawn to some stairs, and I happened to be going up the stairs, and boom, there you were again. So, we chit-chatting.
I was talking to another guy at that point.
That's right. See, forgot. But
yeah,
anyway.
I was talking to another guy.
Yeah, I come up the stairs and, I'm see you talking to someone else. And the brother happened to ask me, yo, my man, you got a pen? I'm like, yeah, sure. But then he turns to Val and he's trying to get her number. And I said, no, mother effer. You can't get her number, not with my pen, and she's with me anyway.
Right.
And he turned away and walked away. And I just kind of remember at that point, I don't know if he was getting ready to leave. I think he was getting ready to leave.
We walked together.
Into the car, sent you on your way.
Me and Robin.
You and Robin, right? Because I think that was that the second night? Because it was the 2 nights I was there.
Yeah.
I think it was the first night. Because I always tell this story. This is how I knew that I was hooked, so to speak.
Oh my God.
Because I was there the second night, dance and meet someone. And Val comes to see me, and this might have been a month or so later. Maybe not even know. She come to visit me.
A few weeks. It was a
few weeks later. Come to visit
me.
And I'm kidding around. So listen, babe, you got to go. My other girl's coming. But I was just messing with her. Doorbell rings.
Yeah. And who was it?
Some other chick that I met at the same club. So I'm like, oh, Lord have mercy.
And I looked at him. I looked at her. I said, oh, no, we're not doing this. I'll see you later, brother. I'm out. And I left.
So she left, walked out the door. And I'm like, now mom is taking her little snap on the couch. So she's oblivious to all of this. Young lady standing in the doorway. I kind of ushered her in. I said, look, I don't know what you're going to do. You can stay here if you want to, but I got to go chase down behind her. I left the girl in the house with my mother, chase after Val, and the rest is history.
The rest is history. Yeah, but it was something because, Frank said that he was just kidding. Well, you know what? Oh, my other girl going to show up and blah, blah, blah. When that doorbell rang and I saw that chick standing there, I said, oh, heck to the no. We ain't doing this. And I left. But then, like you said, he came behind me and we talked, we had conversation, and we just went on from there.
Yep.
We started dating. We met March 28th, 1980. And when did we get in? We got engaged in January of 81.
81, right?
And we got married in August of 81. So I guess by today's standards, it might have happened rather quickly because within a year and a half, we were already married. We were living in Brooklyn, living over 7 Hegeman behind Brookdale Hospital because I was working at Brookdale Hospital at that time. Prior to counseling, I had a career as a registered nurse, and I was employed at Brookdale Hospital. And that apartment building belonged to Brookdale. I believe.
That was all that.
And we lived there. Got married, started having our babies. Our boo-boo darling, Sadell, came first. Then we had Hammy.
Now, were we out in Queens?
No, we were still in Brooklyn when Boo-boo was born.
Okay.
We moved to Queens.
When Frank was
Hammy
born.
was born when we were in Queens. We moved to Queens, 124th Street. We lived there for a while. Both Hammy and John were born when we were living there in Queens. You got 5 people. I
mean, it was a 2-bedroom apartment.
Oh, but it was tiny,
and a dog.
And a dog. and roaches.
Mice too.
I
think more.
Oh my God.
But there was a warmth about that small little. It was almost like an attic apartment because I could go upstairs and touch all the ceilings and whatnot. But there was such a warmth and love in that little place, and then we moved.
We moved upstate at that point.
Yeah, that's from we went to Queen.
We moved from there. We moved up to Poughkeepsie. And that move to Poughkeepsie kind of shifted some things in our lives, because we wanted to get out of the city. Sadell was in 1st grade at that time. Hammy was in kindergarten. Little Chips, that's Jono, our baby boy, he hadn't started school yet. And because Sadell was going to Allen Christian School.
Yes.
In Queens. Some of you may be familiar with that. What?
Why do I think I remember all three of them being there?
No, John didn't start school until we were upstate in Poughkeepsie.
So Frank and Sadell were at Allen, or no?
Frank and Sadell were at Allen Christian School.
Yeah.
Hammy was in kindergarten. Sadell was in first grade.
Allen Christian. So what was the name of that pastor? Reverend.
Some of y'all help me. Floyd Flake. Floyd Flake was the pastor. I don't know if he's still there or not, because he was at Allen for a long time. So, anywho, we eventually moved upstate to Poughkeepsie, and things kind of shifted in our marriage.
Yeah, we were faced with a lot of challenges, and for me, the shift. Again, we're young, having kids. A lot of things that we brought to the marriage we didn't know how to deal with, didn't know how to talk. You know, like Val always talks about. She will always recommend premarital counseling, which of course we didn't know nothing about, didn't have a clue. So for me, some of that shifting or selfishness started to really take hold when I used to feel like pressure, and a nicer word. Yeah. If I felt like I was going to be late, or whatever was going on, some accusations. So my focus started to shift more, again, because I started to not really think about the big picture. I was more thinking of my personal needs, and and it led me to start to mentally have affairs, and then physically start. Because Val, do we have to get to that? I might as well get to, since I started that question. Which one? That was one of our questions. Yeah, because I just wrote some bullet points down for us to discuss. When you think back of it, I don't really first, I'm not gonna name names, but I don't remember the first physical affair. I know there were a lot of emotional affairs, stuff like that, especially when I was, oh my God, hanging out in the club. Whew. There was some physical stuff going on there too. Well, you had to dance. They was dropping it high, but and see, to be able to talk about that and kind of laugh about it says a lot. Oh, that comes from growth, because a lot of times you cannot speak on things because you don't know how to handle them. Right. So, and growth comes in, maturity comes in, and you don't. We're able to talk about things now that we never could back then. When we moved upstate, things changed. Things. Well, let me just say this: before we moved upstate, there was a lot of tension in our marriage, and for years, I would always give the impression that it was just because of Frank. Frank was this, Frank was that, Frank was the other thing. It was all his fault. And it took me a long time to get to the point where I could really reflect on our relationship and acknowledge and be accountable for the part I played in how our marriage got to be where it was, because it was in a really bad place. I had a lot of insecurities. I mean, I was so insecure. And I was so afraid of things going badly in our relationship and Frank leaving, and I would harass him. I would hound him. He could be just a few minutes late and I'm on his back like white on rice. And it makes sense that us being as young as we were at the time and being ill-equipped, and me having all of those issues that resulted from, my family of origin stuff, having grown up in a house where there was severe physical, emotional, as well as sexual abuse. It led to all of those insecurities and uncertainties and issues of abandonment and issues with rejection and a whole bunch of ugliness that I didn't even realize I was dealing with at the time. I realize that now, and it took me a long time to get to the place where I could really honestly see that and admit that. Because that was a huge factor in what caused disruption in our relationship.
Because listen, now this does not excuse any behavior, okay? But no man wants to come home to a battle axe. No man wants to come home to someone who's being a bitch. Can I say that on YouTube? I don't know, but I just said it. Okay. No man wants to deal with that. No man wants to deal with he's 5 minutes late. Well, where you been and who you with and all that. Now, this again does not excuse the fact that Frank went outside of the marriage to seek some kind of solace and acceptance and all of that stuff. It doesn't excuse it, because at the end of the day, we are responsible for the choices and the decisions that we make. But we cannot overlook the part that kind of behavior played in the choices that he made. So then when we went upstate, and now I remember years ago, maybe 15, 20 years ago, when we were having conversations and you mentioned that individual that you got involved with upstate was not the first affair that you had. And we have since conversed about it, and we debate back and forth when it occurred. But at this point, potato, potato, it doesn't really matter. But we moved upstate and Frank got involved with someone, and that led to our first separation.
Right, okay.
You remember? Because I left Poughkeepsie, I took the children, and the four of us moved back down to Brooklyn because Frank was, I think you were living with your grandmother. You had moved in with your grandmother, and the kids and I.
I call myself having my own apartment all for about a month.
Please. That didn't last long. That's why I don't even mention it, because he moved into the apartment. He was there for maybe 1 month, right?
Maybe two, but this is how, I don't know, crazy things are weird. Now we separated and we're going through stuff. I'm moving into my own apartment because I want to do my own thing.
Want to do his own thing with that woman.
But who comes there and stocks up the apartment with pots and pans and curtains and stuff?
Me. I know. I'm crazy.
And it was I'm not crazy. We say crazy because we're laughing, but it wasn't so much that. It was because she loved me and didn't know how to deal with what was going on. So this was her way of dealing with it. Okay, you still mine. I'm gonna make sure you got some pots of pans.
And got at least someplace decent to live. Yeah.
Some craziness like that. And when Val talks about her issues, at this point now, and I look back, it just gave me an excuse, made it easier to make some of the choices I did. Because like I said, I didn't want to come home here and that. I can go somewhere else where I don't hear this noise.
Don't hear it, right?
Because definitely wasn't equipped to deal with the noise.
Right.
I hear some of that noise now, but we're
beyond it now,
right? Because we had an issue before we came on. I almost just show up, because it kind of set one of my issues in motion. But I'm like, dang, you can't, why you can't cancel? But anyway,
and I said I wasn't gonna do it.
Right. So we still deal with some of those issues in a sense but we're equipped to talk about it.
We can talk.
We just had a disagreement that we were fighting about some mess. Been together long enough, you're gonna fight.
But we got what we got. We were able to get beyond it now, and actually, I had to go and apologize to him.
Let me write that down. That's number 2 in 43 years. Okay.
I had to go and apologize to him because I was upset. Now, mind you, I've been away for the whole. We're digressing. Should we tell the story?
Well,
we're gonna keep it real. Okay, we're transparent. Okay.
You went to Atlantic City.
I had been in Atlantic City with my daughter-in-law. I've been wanting to go to Hell's Kitchen for a long time. Thought I was gonna have to go to Vegas to go to Hell's Kitchen. They opened the Hell's Kitchen in Atlantic City at Caesars Resort last year. So we had made reservations. Frank and I were supposed to go. He didn't feel up to it. Went with my daughter-in-law. Had a great time. Ate food. The whole weekend. We just had a ball. And Frank, I sent Frank a text because I got an alert on my phone that one of my Amazon packages was delivered.
Now she's away enjoying herself in Atlantic City, but she got an alert. Go ahead.
I got an alert that the Amazon guy delivered my package. So I sent the Cookieman a text. Hey, babe, did you get my Amazon package? And he responded, yes, I got it. Stop worrying about what's going on here. Well,
enjoy yourself.
I don't know if you said
okay,
that.
Well,
that wasn't enjoy yourself. Wasn't
anyway,
on there. He just said, can I tell my story?
Go ahead,
please?
get it right.
He just said, stop worrying about what's going on here. Yes, I got your package. I've got an attitude because even though that's what it said, what I read was, leave me alone. Stop bothering me. And I said, no, this mofo didn't. So I said, you know what? For the rest of my time here, I ain't going to say nothing. I ain't send him no text. I ain't call. I ain't nothing. So when I get home this evening, he comes out to the car. Well, hello. You violated our agreement that we're supposed to contact each other when we're on the way home. And I said, well, according to your text message, you didn't want to be bothered with my behind, so I ain't tell you nothing. So it went on from there. We had it wasn't a heated exchange, but it wasn't pleasant. But anywho, I ended up going to him and apologizing because when I saw that text, I got my behind on my shoulders and I didn't contact him anymore, which really, as he said, is a violation of our agreement because we agree that when either one of us is any place other than home, especially if we've gone somewhere, not to the store shopping or something, but like if he goes to Brooklyn or I go to Brooklyn or like this weekend I'm in Atlantic City, we're going to call and say, hey, babe, I'm on my way.
Yeah, I arrived. And it's not like we expect each other to text, 10 different times in a 24-hour, how many days you're going. I got there.
Yeah.
And especially when we're on our way back home.
Okay.
Simple.
But I ain't anywho, let's get back to our story. So me and the children moved back to Brooklyn. Frank was still living upstate in Poughkeepsie with his by that time he had done lost the apartment.
I didn't lose, I left.
You lost the apartment. You didn't pay the rent.
I didn't get evicted. I just walked away.
Is that what happened? My recollection. Well, anywho, one way or another, however he left the apartment, was with his grandparents. I moved back to Brooklyn, me and the babies, and that was December 30th, 1996. Your mom died in 97, right? Or 96?
March 97. It was 97.
Okay. Yeah. So that was December of 1996 because I had said, listen, 1997 is not. Hey, Adrena, good to see you. Hey, Jackie. Thank you guys for watching. I said 1997 is not going to catch me up here in Poughkeepsie because I was in so much emotional pain because Frank was involved with that woman, and I would actually see them together, either in her car or his car, me and the kids going to the store or going somewhere, and I would see them. Whew, and it would take everything in me to not pop a Yui and just go chasing down behind them. Actually, I did bang into your car one time. Remember? You at Grandma's? You at Gigi's? But anywho, I did some crazy stuff. We won't go into that's another whole show. But anywho, I couldn't deal with it anymore. And I moved back to Brooklyn. And that was December of 96. And then there was that bad snowstorm in January or February of 97. And Frank weathered the snow and he came down to see me. Oh, he wants to see his wife and his children and yada, yada, yada. That lasted a minute and a half. Because really, no, Frank, you didn't move back in.
No, and why is that? Where were you living? On Macon.
I was living on Macon Street.
And why did?
Oh, because that little fella.
See. Listen, I always tease Val when we talk about our story.
Wait a minute. Let me tell my story.
But you was moving on.
I wasn't going to move on. No, I wasn't. But that wasn't the reason why you didn't move back in. You weren't ready. Because we had talked about it, and then you decided to not come.
Okay,
but anywho,
that's how she remembers it. But go ahead.
Over the course of that particular separation, yes, I also got involved with someone while he was up in upstate in New York, and I was down in Brooklyn. And then later that year, we reconciled in 97, because that's when your mom
Yes, I don't know why I keep saying her urn.
Was it in 97 or 96? But we did reconcile. We got back together. But we hadn't done any real work.
Right. Definitely hadn't.
We had not done any work at all on ourselves individually. Well, let me rephrase that. I think I was starting to do some work. But Okay,
Miss Pulpit. Oh. Yes.
But anywho, but we were
half-assing it,
to say the least. And that's putting it mildly. We were ill prepared to resume our relationship. So as a result, infidelity into our relationship again.
And because something major was also happening that was kind of taking a focus, because my mother had become sick, and passed, and we had moved into the house. So it was hard, I guess, with all that going on, to try to focus on issues that we were having that was going to be a long-term fix to begin with. And now for me to focus is someplace else. I had just lost my grandmother.
No, you lost your mom.
Mom, and then my grand. So there was a lot still going on that, as far as I was concerned, it just made it easier not to focus. I'm just all discombobulated, and I didn't care.
At that point, you went
I know.
Freaking wild.
True.
He went I was freaking wild. He even stopped working for a whole year.
Well, I got hurt first, and then I just...
Man, you was hurt like this thermos was hurt.
Honey, I was working at the Valley, the juvenile, and I had popped my shoulder, and they put me out. Granted,
like your shoulder ain't popped back.
Eventually.
But anywho, he had stopped working. Was hanging out. Hanging out. He would start hanging out. First of all, he started an argument on Wednesday.
I know.
He started an argument on Wednesday. Then he'd go hanging out Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and come dragging ass home sometime on Sunday. And that went on for a solid year, maybe a year and a half. And it was a real struggle. Because obviously now we got the 3 children.
Got the kids living in the house. Yeah.
We need financial support. We got to have an income. And it was only mine at the time, because Frank got this idea he was going to drive a cab. Because when his mom...
Lincoln Car Service.
He got and that's another thing. When his mom passed away, he got some insurance money. This mofo went and paid cash for a Lincoln Continental. Ain't talked to me. We ain't had no conversation. You took me to
that place.
I ain't take you nowhere.
Yes, you did. Right off of Canton
Frank,
Avenue.
I didn't know that you were going out there and going to pay cash for a Lincoln Continental, because he got this bright idea. Now he gonna be this car service in New York. Obviously, that did not go well. Okay, because when he should have been out making money driving the car service, he was hanging out, partying. Him and that damn Gary. That Gary Williams.
Don't be bad mouthing Gary like that. That's my best.
That's Frank's best friend.
We hung out sometimes.
They would be hanging out Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then he'd come home sometime on Sunday and fall asleep and sleep all day and get mad at me because me and the children were going to church. Okay. He didn't want to come. Of course, he just got in that morning and he's all hung over. He'd been hanging out. He'd been screwing around. He'd been doing all kind of craziness. Our marriage, I think at that point, was in the worst places it has ever been. It was extremely chaotic. We were arguing almost every day. Violent arguments. I remember throwing things at him and busting the window and all kinds of craziness. It was really chaotic there. Really, really chaotic. One of the worst times in our marriage. And so we had another separation. Well, I didn't call it a separation at the time, but that's when I left Brooklyn and came to PA.
Right, you're living with
Bev and Papa Jimmy. I came to PA, moved in with Bev and Papa Jimmy. I was sick of your behind.
Wait, see, somehow you missed a big part of This stuff. Because while we were living in the house, you were working where? What are those places you were working?
Maimonides.
Maimonides. And what's the other place?
Oh, the clinic place?
Right, the clinic place.
Oh, you're talking about
where something else happened?
Well, yeah.
Where he lived close by while we were in Brooklyn. Wow.
Well, that's true.
Oh, forgot about all that. Baby.
I did forget.
See what I mean?
Wait. But like you, I tried to not remember.
You know what?
Things.
I get it. Okay. But sometimes you have to be brought up. But anyway,
there
was still a lot of stuff going on.
There was a whole bunch of stuff going on.
And even when Val moved to Pennsylvania with some friends just to get away from the mess, she would come back on the weekends. Mm-hmm. Not all the time to see me, but she'd come back on. And I was glad to see her.
I was really coming to see the kids.
Okay.
Because by that time, John was in college.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No.
Sadell, was she in California at that time? I don't know if she had gone to California yet. But yeah, John was at Wagner.
Sadell went to Howard in 2002. Mm-hmm. Okay. But see, either way, we still were messing up.
We were messing up.
Put it very plainly.
Messing up. And then you came to PA.
Yeah.
We had the house built. Mama came to live with us. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, I got to give you your props because you were great. You were fantastic the way you helped me take care of Mama. You were amazing. I used to tell everybody, he's a piss poor husband, but he is one hell of a son-in-law because he helped me take care of my mother like nobody's business. He would wash her. He would hold her up in the shower, sit her on the what do you call that? Sit her on the commode so she could have a BM. He would clean her up. He would feed her. When she got her feeding tube, I taught him how to do the tube feeding. He would do that. Great. But our marriage was still in chaos.
Again, we had something to divert us from our own issues.
Right.
Like in Brooklyn, grandmother dying, mother dying, our minds were elsewhere as opposed to on us. So we get upstate, get the house, everything look,
in PA.
PA is like we're moving on up. We got the house, looking all nice, everything's nice externally. Again, because we got other things that we're focusing on. Her mother, we know Mama's going to be here maybe another year, 2 years, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So, like Val said, I became great of changing the bed with her in it and all kind of stuff once Val taught me. But again, it kept the focus off of us.
Yeah.
Until the focus was no longer there and Mama passed. And even before that, Val was saying, Frank, when I'm gonna stay here, because we would still argue and have our disagreements. She would bring up how she was hurting and what she needed, and I was half listening.
Oh, you weren't listening at all. Well, you weren't even half listening.
And she would tell me when Mama goes, I'm leaving and stuff. And when Mama passed and she actually left, now you would think, but again, it's still not at a mature state and being selfish, because you would think at that point, wow, this is real. I got to do something about it. But what your boy do?
He start another affair.
She left. Oh, okay.
He went buck wild again,
okay,
y'all.
You gone. You gone. It means I could do what I want to.
And that's exactly what he did.
And I did.
Yeah.
Not proud of it, but I did. And when you do something like that, you're hurting other people because you get someone else involved. They sharing their emotions. You leading them to believe something that's not true.
Yeah.
And it for me, it was still, as crazy as it sounds, it was kind of easy to do that and not be truthful there as opposed to facing our issues.
Yeah.
What I was doing was
had a whole lot of issues
than facing years of built up unspoken issues. That was going to be hard.
It was a whole lot of issues. And Frank is right, because I told him, I started telling him a couple of years before Mama passed away. Obviously, we had no idea when she was going to pass away. But I told him, I said, babe, you know what? We got to get this here thing together. And if you don't change, and if you don't start treating me with some sort of kindness and love and empathy and respect, when Mama dies, I'm leaving. You ain't going nowhere. I said, okay, babe, I'm just letting you know. I let him know, plain and simple, this is what I need. This is what we need to do in order to fix our marriage and get it to a place where we can have some normalcy, have some peace, and not total chaos. Hey, Crystal. Hey, baby. And I told him, I said, when mama passes away, if you don't get your stuff together, I'm gone. Mama passed away in May of 2012. I gave him until September. Nothing had changed. He was still just as cruel and cold and unkind. All of that. Now, mind you, I wasn't a saint either, okay?
What you mean?
I was nice to you, but... No, listen, in all honesty, throughout the course of our marriage, after infidelity entered, and I was so hurt, doesn't excuse it, but I started to become involved with other people as well. I did. Okay. That's one of the things that I regret the most in our marriage. And not because of Frank, because of God. Because I feel like I let God down. Because I did not honor my vows the way that I had told God I would when I said I do. So that's the thing that disappointed me. Crystal, baby, I love you. That I am the most disappointed about. And if it were possible to go back, I wouldn't do it. I don't recommend it. If your spouse is cheating, don't cheat back. Don't just leave the marriage, because you're going to end up regretting it. So mama died in May of 2012. September 2012, I told Frank, he was getting up, getting dressed to go to work that morning. And I said, babe, when you get here, when you get home from work, I'm not going to be here. What? What do you mean? I said, babe, I told you when mama passed away, if things didn't change, I was leaving. It's September. Mama's been dead since May. I'm not going to be here when you come home. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. He left. And I said, when he left, I sat on the side of the bed and I cried. And I cried and I cried and I cried. And I called our daughter. I said, boo-boo, darling. Because I had packed my bags. I was all packed. I said, baby girl. I said, I'm leaving your father. I said, I'm all packed, but I ain't got nowhere to go. I said, I have nowhere to go. She said, yes, you do, Mom. You come and stay with me. We were living in Sinking Spring, which is a suburb of Reading, Pennsylvania. She lived in Harrisburg, PA at the time. And those of you who may be familiar with Pennsylvania know between Reading and Harrisburg is a good hour, maybe longer. I was working in Philadelphia at the time. I didn't care. Took my little suitcase, cried all the way to Harrisburg, and fell into my daughter's arms when I got there. She has a second bedroom. She set up the bedroom for me, and I stayed there until February of the following year. But here's the thing. The day I left, you're only going to believe this.
I get it right.
Listen, Frank did not call or text or reach out to me at all day long. I'm thinking when he gets home from work, he's going to see that I'm not there. He's going to see the stuff out in my closet. He's going to know I'm gone. And he's going to say, oh my goodness, my wife has left me. I got to get my ish together because I want my wife back. This niglet, he did not pick up the phone to call me at all.
No, and
not at all. Not that day, not the next day, not the next day, not the next day, or even the following week. I was Frank, I was devastated.
I know you were.
I was so devastated. I just wanted somebody to dig a hole somewhere so I can jump in it and then cover me up with dirt. I was devastated. No one would have been able to pay me $1 million to believe that my husband, at that time of 30 years, would not reach out to me when he realized that I was gone. But he didn't.
No, and that was my pride, ego, because I'm like, damn, she is gone. Left. And I was being
you were angry at me.
Yeah, I was very angry.
Mm-hmm.
And hurt. More angry probably than hurt, and surprised. Yeah. And my ego was not going to allow me to reach out and call.
Yeah.
You know. And then again, now I don't know. I'm thinking all kind of stuff. So now, okay, you gone. You just walked away. Because even at that time, I thought, and maybe there was something going on with you and someone else at that point. I don't know how much. Anyway. Yeah. So I'm thinking, okay, she's out the house. She done left me. Okay. I'm start something else up.
Yeah, and you did. And he did.
Which I did. And, you know.
You're right, Miss Vanessa. It was pride.
And I remember reaching out to the individual and saying, listen, door's open. Wife done left me. Done left. Just, you know, and of course I wasn't explaining why she left, because you know, you don't do those things. You know, you're not trying to let someone else know how messed up you might be.
That's right.
You know, you want to put on a good front. So
and blame it all on your spouse. That's what people do.
But see, you know, other than saying I don't, and you know, one thing I tried and I like to believe I never really did was talk bad about Val or someone else.
Yeah, well, she said you did.
Well,
no, listen, I'm just letting you know that she said that.
So what?
That doesn't mean you did it.
Did she say what I said, or she just said I talk bad?
No, she said, "Oh, you know what? This is how she would do it. You know what? I'm not trying to hurt your feelings or anything, but you know, he would say things like the only reason that he was with you was because of the children."
Come on, Val. I mean, where you are now, wouldn't you believe that's a bunch of bullshit? Excuse me. Sorry, just something to be said to get you upset.
Well, probably. But then I actually believe that you had really said those things.
Of course. But I get it. So, but again, you know, not equipped, pride, selfishness, don't give a F. You know, I'm going to just go out and do whatever I want to do. And started something else up for the next
6 years.
6 years on and off.
6 years.
Because me and Val at that point was our last separation. Was
that was our last separation.
That was
from 2012.
On and off for 6 years. I'd see her, I'd not see her. I'm here, she's there. We're doing whatever we want to do.
Yeah. Because I live with our daughter from September of 2012 until February of 2013. And I moved into an apartment here in Levittown. And, you know, I said to Frank, see, I don't believe in coincidences, and I believe that everything happens for a reason. Because our separation, that last separation, and my move here to Levittown resulted in some significant changes and growth in me. That's when I found Change Church, which was Kingdom Church back then. Pastor Darius Daniels is the pastor. That being present there, my spiritual growth increased exponentially. My focus became entirely on my relationship with God, not Frank. Now, not to say that he wasn't still coming around back and forth, because the separation lasted for 6 years. And he would come around, we'd still go out, and we were still actually engaging in sexual intimacy, even though I knew he was involved with someone else. Do I recommend that for wives to do? I don't recommend it, but every wife has got to decide for themselves, or husband decide for himself if that's what they want to do.
Like they said, I was coming around, even though she knew I was involved. I would have preferred to have her, even though we.
No, but I wasn't. Well, initially, yes, but eventually it got to a point. I'm telling you, Frank.
I'm not disagreeing with
that. And
it
was just all about me and God.
Okay.
And it got to a place where I said, you know what? I can't do this anymore. Because I was crying in the shower. That was my place to cry because I'm getting wet. There's water anyway. So that's where I would go to cry. I cry in the shower. And I said, you know, God, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. Can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. We had gotten the divorce papers. We were ready to divorce. And from my perspective, again, God intervened, did not allow me to take the divorce papers down to the courthouse. But I didn't rip them up yet. I held on to them.
I didn't sign them.
No, you did sign them. We sat right at the kitchen table and went through the divorce papers. You signed and I signed. No, at my apartment. He signed and I signed. Okay. And all I had to do was take them and file them with the court. Didn't do it. God did not allow me to proceed. That was still at 2.5 years before we got together. I was mad as a firecracker with God. Why the heck you ain't let me divorce this mofo? And I'm still here by myself.
Lord have mercy.
And he over there with that woman. I was mad. I was angry. I was upset. But I said, you know what? I'm going to trust you, God. I'm going to trust you. Got to a point where I had to really, really sever all ties with Frank. Oh, Jackie said, yeah, I was mad. I had to sever all ties with him because it was too emotionally painful, number one. And number two, really the main thing was I felt as if I was getting in the way of God doing what God needed to do. So I said to Frank, listen, you can't come around anymore. I don't want to see you. I want to talk to you. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't email me. Don't Facebook me. Don't send me smoke signals. Nothing. If you are not ready to come correct, don't come at all. Leave me alone. So he said, yeah, okay. Next thing I know, this mofo showing up at my door, ringing the doorbell because he had called our daughter. What's wrong with your mother? I'm trying to call her. She won't talk to me. She won't answer the phone. No, I'm not going to do it. And I told Sadell, I said, Sadell, listen, I don't want to put you in the middle of any of this, but tell your father, leave me the hell alone. I already told him, if you ain't coming correct, I want nothing to do with him. I am severing all ties with him completely. And all communication off. Wait a minute. No, let me tell this. So he rang the doorbell. I answered the door. He's standing out there like this. What's this? You getting our daughter involved because you won't talk to me. I said, Frank, I respectfully request that you leave away from my door. We had this conversation already. I love you, but I told you, if you're not going to do right, I want nothing to do with you. Leave me alone. He stood there for a few minutes. Yeah, all right. And he turned around and walked away. You remember that?
At that point, and up until that point, I was taking advantage of Val's newfound spirituality. Because I felt, as long as she cared about God, I can continue to work my way in.
Yes.
Which I continued to do until such time she finally shut that door. Now,
yeah, because my father, my heavenly father ain't gonna let you keep on abusing me.
So anyway, she shut the door, and wouldn't talk. I would text her sometime. Oh, is there McDonald's over there? And go. She would just ghost me.
I wouldn't answer at all.
But when you look at it, even though that door was finally closed, and then here I come thinking I'm ready to make things work.
Right.
Which I was telling myself.
But you weren't.
Which I wanted.
But you were not ready.
Still didn't realize or was ready to accept how difficult it was going to be.
Right.
Because it came back. I think, we were living. Yeah.
Wait a minute now. We got back together in 2018. Only after. Do you remember? I interrupted you
did,
again.
But go ahead.
I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
That's one of the few faults that I have.
Yeah. Got a loss of after 2018. What were you going to say? What?
No, I said we got back together in 2018, but because you kept pursuing, trying to call me, trying to text me, trying to do all that. And I think one time we did have a conversation and you said to me, well, Val, how can you see that I've changed if you don't spend any time with me?
Correct. Yeah.
And I said, you know what? He's got a point, but I wasn't ready to just fall for that line yet. I went and talked to my pastor. I made an appointment, had a conversation with Pastor Daniels, because Pastor Daniels already knew what was going on. I had conversed with him before about our marriage and everything. And I said to him what Frank had said to me, that how can I know that he's changed if I'm never in his presence, if I don't ever see him? And Pastor Daniel said, well, he's got a point. However, you have to proceed with caution and you have to be careful. He said, make sure you are very clear. Everything that needs to take place in order for the two of you to get back together. He said, don't issue it as an ultimatum. He can do whatever he wants to do. It's his choice. But if you don't do these things, you can't be with him. Just be very clear. And that's what I said to Frank. Now, in all transparency, Frank agreed to do several things.
That was easy.
When we first got back together. Now, has he yet, from 2018 to 2023, done all of those things? Absolutely not. Has he done some of them? Yes, he has. But he hasn't done everything that I said I needed from him when we first got back together in 2018. Now you can talk.
What I was going to say, because even after that, there was a period of, again, infidelity.
Right.
I think I was back in the house, right?
You were back in the house.
Right.
I had just let you back in, and I went down to Florida to visit Pat.
That was in the
I went to visit Pat. Yeah,
right.
It was within our first 2 months of getting back together.
Yeah. And, I mean, I can't explain that instance other than, again, just, thinking I'm entitled to, which a lot of men think we're entitled to conduct ourselves like this.
Yeah.
And y'all supposed to just take
acquiesce
or and stuff like that. But I've come to learn that's not the case. But, I did it. I remember me and Val were out at my mother-in-law's house, functions going on. Now, the young lady told me she was going to reach out and tell Val.
Oh, and she did. She told me.
So when I'm sitting there and I saw Val look at me and I saw that look on her face, I was like,
sugar honey iced tea.
Oh, so, what's when a name don't need to be mentioned, that must have reached out, because I knew that look. So when we go outside and talk, I'm like, what about? And I'm talking, what about? I'm like, yeah, you know what about, Frank. And so on, and it came out. And I think that might have been the first time, even when confronted with stuff in the past, I deny.
But you admitted
this might have been the first time when confronted, I said, like, yeah, what else you gonna say? So I don't know where to go from there. So that was been a long, continuous struggle.
Yeah, that was in 2018.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was in 2018. And as far as I know, that's the last time that you have been inappropriate.
Last time
with any female. Mofo, let me find my shoe.
Just kidding. But we've had some other, even since then, some questions.
Yeah.
Where initially, how I would have reacted in the past, I'd have got defensive.
Yeah.
You're asking me this, or you're even making an accusation based on what? What I've come to learn is based on past hurts and triggers.
Oh yeah.
One story that we could share. We're in the bed here at the house, and Val, did you have a dream? I
had a dream,
and she wanted to look at my phone at 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock in the morning.
3 o'clock in the morning. Okay, sees a number in there, and just assumed it was someone. I'm like, Val, what? I said, Val, that's. And to get in this story real quick, she ended up calling the number
3 o'clock in the morning
and heard the voice,
and it was a friend of mine.
A friend of ours. Now I said, now this woman gonna want to know why you calling her 3:00 in a freaking morning, then you don't even say anything. But again,
because she had moved to Georgia, and I didn't. I had her number, but I didn't remember.
Right, and it was a 484 number. It made you think of some other number. So those things still come up even to this day. That me and Val, we had a conversation where I said we're in a better place than we were 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. But that, fellas, people, even when you're in that better place and you think everything is great, all it takes is one little thing: smell, a sound, a picture. Like a buddy of mine sent me a picture from when we used to work in the juvenile correctional place, and I'm just happy, my friends, and I just wanted to show it to Val, but I forgot. I'm just looking at the picture. Yeah. But that picture also represented a time and place in our life when things were crazy, where I was living up there, and when I showed it to Val, it was a trigger. Yeah. And it just took me a second, like, oh, damn, it's just a picture. Why you at? Oh. Yeah. And you know what? I deleted it. And I think I saw it come up on my Facebook somewhere again. Yeah. But I deleted it because at that moment, the picture wasn't as important as initially was when I saw it compared to how Val felt about it. That was more important. You know what? Okay, let me get rid of this picture. Yeah. So we still, like I said, even when you think things are great, all it takes is one something. And it doesn't have to be something that's actually being done. It's just a trigger of the mind, something you think about, something you hear, a word. I used to have this cologne. If I put it on now, Val will probably bug the freak out. Oh, it would trigger the hell out of me. I couldn't stand it. Because that was the cologne that was his cheating cologne. Whenever he would always wear that cologne when he was going out to cheat. But see, it wasn't that I wore it to cheat. I just liked the smell. And you happened to kind of when you had that cologne on. And we laugh and say the cheat. It didn't necessarily have to be that I was having sex or so. The fact that I was out in the club, grooming some women and dancing with some woman, hugged up on someone. So that was my going out cologne. Yeah, but that's still cheating, baby. I know. Honey, that's true. That's true. Okay. True that. So it all, like I said, it just takes something. Yeah. To trigger a thought, a question. And it took me a while to not get so defensive. Every once in a while, I still, and my initial reaction, oh, what? And, okay. It's better to explain it, talk about it, as opposed to want to argue about it. So that's where I'm at now. Yeah. As Frank said, we are in a much better place. Oh, hey, Finesse, you understand. I get it. So we have been doing a lot of talking. I don't know if you guys have any questions or anything, but if you do, you could put it up there in the chat. So we reconciled in 2018. And the first couple of years, it was a real struggle. Okay. It was difficult because you can forgive. And that's the thing we have to understand. Forgiveness is one thing. Trust is another. Just because you have forgiven someone doesn't mean that you suddenly now trust them. So the trust had to be rebuilt. The trust had to be reestablished. And that can only happen when the person who has done the wrong is accountable, is honest, is open and transparent and agreeable to answering questions that the other may bring up. And we had to go through that. Initially, it was a struggle because Frank wasn't all, like you said, he would get defensive and didn't always want to answer questions. He wasn't comfortable with me looking at his phone or having passwords and that sort of thing. But we are far, far beyond that now. He'll leave his phone laying around. He didn't used to do that. And when it is laying around, it's actually face up. Didn't used to do that. And I could pick it up at any time. And if I remember the password, because a lot of times I forget, I'll have it in my hand. I'll say, babe, what's your password? And I'll that reminds me of one of them other stories. Phones laying around. Oh, when you and she, she's looking at it in the back room. I don't realize it till I come into the room and got that look on the face. I'm like, first thing I think when I see that look, what I do. I don't know what I did, but I must have did something. So what I do? Oh, you change your blank password. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. Wait a minute. Why you got my phone trying to get in it? Why don't you just ask? No, you change it. And for a brief moment,
you couldn't remember.
I'm so discombobulated, I couldn't even remember it. But of course, she thought I was BSing her, and I didn't want to give it to her. And it was the same thing. She just forgot it.
I forgot it.
And blamed me because she forgot.
I forgot it.
And then got mad at me because I forgot.
So, I just want you guys to know, when I say that I believe that no marriage is beyond redemption, I really mean that I believe no marriage is beyond redemption, because Frank and I, we have been through the ringer several times. There's been infidelity multiple times. There's been betrayal. There's been all of that. And yet here we are sitting next to each other in 2023. Not only are we still married, not only do we still love each other, but 80% of the time we like each other. Okay? And loving, stop. Because see, loving is easy. Loving somebody is easy. But do you really like your partner? Is your partner your friend? Is your partner your best friend? What kind of friendship do you have? Forget about what kind of marriage you have. What kind of friendship do you have? Thank you, Adrena, still standing. Thank you. I appreciate that. So if anybody out there, if you or someone you know, if they're struggling in their relationship, just remind them that no marriage is beyond redemption. If they're willing to do the work, if they're willing to commit to each other, to the process, and especially if they have God in their lives and in the midst of their relationship, they can overcome it. So, because we share our story, that's not a pretty story, not easy to tell, and there's obviously some bits and pieces that we have we've left out, and some really ugly parts. And just think about also, we raised 3 children in the midst of that chaos. In the midst
of all of that mess.
In the midst of that chaos. It's by the grace of God that they are as emotionally and mentally as healthy as they are and stable, because we had the potential to really jack them up with our mess. Right, babe? We had the potential to jack them up. So I want to thank you guys for listening to our story. I know it was a lot. We took you from 1980 to 2023 in a short period of time, where we gave you the Reader's Digest version of our story. And I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you guys who are here with us on a weekly basis, or semi-weekly, or monthly, or whatever. Just remember that if there's any episode that you did not get an opportunity to see, you can go to Marriage Beyond the Breach YouTube channel, and it will be there, and you could watch it. Somebody had a question. I think Finesse. Did we have counseling? Yes, we had counseling. But let me tell you about when we first started in counseling. We've had counseling a few times. The most recent time that we had counseling, the second most recent time we had counseling, we were going to counseling, but there was still infidelity in the marriage. So that lets you know that there was not a full commitment to that process. Eventually, we actually had counseling when there was no infidelity. I highly recommend counseling, premarital counseling if you're not married, and relationship couples counseling if you are married, or if you are in a relationship. And if your spouse is unwilling or unable to go, I encourage you to go and get individual counseling. Because even if one member of the relationship gets healthier, it has the potential for the relationship to get a healthier as well. Yeah, exactly. Will it be as healthy as it could be if both people go? Obviously not. But it's better than nobody going at all. So, Miss Vanessa, if your husband does not want to go to counseling, I encourage you to go. And something that can happen sometimes, you don't even have to talk to him about it. I don't know if you are if you are a believer or not, but God, the Holy Spirit of God, can impact our partners far better than we ever could. Can speak to their hearts and minds in a way that we never will be able to. So if you are a believer, I would encourage you to just pray and ask God to impress upon your husband's heart the need for an agreement to go into counseling. And sometimes when one partner goes to counseling, the other can see the difference in them and say, wow, there's something different about my husband, something different about my wife. And when they come to you and when they make that comment, you can say, yeah, babe, I've been going to counseling and I've been learning some tools and I've learned this and this and this. You have an opportunity to share with them what you've learned throughout the counseling process. And that has the potential to help encourage them to want to go as well. Hey, Ollie, good to see you. You may have to look around for a counselor. Men tend to respond better to male counselors than female counselors. So take that into account when you are looking for a counselor. You can include your partner in the process. You can go on Psychology Today. You could go to different websites and look the counselors up together. And hopefully they offer a free consultation. In my Marriage Beyond the Breach practice, I offer a free 30-minute consultation because I want couples or individuals to interview me to determine if they think I'm the right fit for them. I know I ain't right for everybody. I'm not the right fit for everybody. And there is no counselor on the planet who is. So yes, there are things that you can do to make your marriage better, even if your partner doesn't want to go to counseling. You go to counseling. What do you want to say, babe? Other than hurry up, Val. It's after 8:00.
No, regarding the young lady asked the question, your husband doesn't believe in it. For me, I didn't believe in it. I didn't want to bare my soul. Number one, I wasn't ready to talk to no one. And even when I thought I was ready, I still wasn't ready. Mm-hmm. There were times through the counseling sessions for me where I felt okay because I was willing to unburden what was becoming a heavy thing to carry by myself. Yeah. Obviously I can't talk to Val of the things I'm doing because I don't want her to know. Trying to keep that as quiet from everyone else that might know your marriage or know your wife or whatever. So those things became heavy to carry. And once I had those moments in counseling where I can just let it out, it feel good. But it has to be his decision. He cannot go because you saying he needs to go, or you saying you better go. Right. You can say you better go. You definitely ain't gonna be showing up. That's for sure. It took me a while to get there, even though, like I said, there was some times where because I wasn't ready, it was a waste of time, and other times I felt it was a waste of time because the issues weren't our issues as far as I was concerned, or my issues when I went by myself. But it still helped.
What do you mean the issues weren't our issues?
We weren't speaking. It seemed like the counselor was talking about other things.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
That frustrated me.
Yeah. But you're easily frustrated by counselors or anybody like that anyway.
Oh, okay.
But we did go to answer your question at a time when we were not committed, and obviously another time when we were committed, and that made a big difference. It did. So anyway, I want to thank you all for watching, whether you're watching now, whether you're watching, let me rephrase that, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching repeat. Thank you so much. If you haven't already done so, I would appreciate if you would subscribe to the YouTube channel, like and share. I think that's all that. You can find us also, Marriage Beyond the Breach is on Instagram as well. You can find us on Instagram, and we also have a Facebook page, but we're more active on YouTube and Instagram. Oh, I'm glad that helps, Ms. Finesse. So I just want to thank you again. God bless you all. I'm not sure if we're going to be here next week or not, because the person that I wanted for our topic next week has not yet confirmed. If they do, we'll be on. If not, we may not be, or it might just be the Cookieman and I. Again, I hope y'all won't get sick of just me and the Cookieman. But how could you get sick of this handsome face?
Since she already working me for next week. Working me already for next week.
Hey, Candy, good to see you. Oh, you just missed the program. Look at the repeat, my sister. I love you guys.
Okay,
I'll see you soon. Okay, bye-bye.